hands down, one of the most popular destinations for folks moving to the Caribbean or thinking about moving to the Caribbean is the stunning Isle of Jamaica for many, many reasons. And today it's such a, I don't even know what the word is, privilege, honor, pleasure to have Omolewa on the line. Omolewa, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm loving the tree behind you. And I've seen before the ocean is behind you. So it looks like life in Jamaica is doing you well. Whereabouts are you on the island?
Right now I'm in Tower Isle, which is on the north coast of the island.
Okay.
St. Mary Parish. Yes.
Parish. Nice, nice, nice. And so the reason that I want to talk to you today is a large part of what we do on the channel is kind of showing people the ins and outs of moving, the practical elements, the tax, the shipping, but which is great. It's really important to understand that stuff. But I think the conversations that I really enjoy are sharing with people how moving, escaping environments that are kind of toxic, for want of a better word, can really help elevate you as a person and what you can achieve in the world and basically your flow. But what's interesting from my perspective, we were saying this before, like you were already pretty dope before you moved, right? Tell me a bit about yourself, because you grew up in Michigan, right? So tell us about your journey and people so they can understand where you're coming from.
Yes, I'm from a small town called Mount Clemens in Michigan, outside of Detroit. And I've just pretty much, like you say, I've always been kind of rogue. I'm a healer. So with that, I assist others in healing themselves. And that has been through massage therapy, through birth work, assisting families, the whole family, as well as working with sacred plant medicine, psilocybin mushrooms specifically. So just throughout my life and throughout various personal challenges and motherhood, relationships, and initiations through the sacred plant medicines, it's just put me in a very, again, self-initiating role. So I tend to follow things that are more of a healing nature, more of a clear nature, high vibrational way of living. So with coming to Jamaica, it was just pretty much, again, me giving up the things that have been weighing me down, being in tune with my higher God self. And she always wants the best for me. She knows what's best for me. So activating within those, just within that frequency of doing what's best for me and my family and for my lifestyle.
Right. But so what I want to understand is, like, you had already, for whatever reasons, managed to get yourself onto that path of being a healer. You already had a pretty awesome crew around you in Detroit, and we'll talk a little bit more about that crew further down the line. So what was it that made you, like, from an outside view, from me, who's just like average, you were already doing great in Detroit. So why leave? Why did you feel the need to go elsewhere?
Just continuing on the role of personal evolution. Things can always be better. Things can always be greater, and then just my personal healing outside of what appears to be community or the conscious community. From the time I was a little girl, my mother always told me I had nurse hands. So she always wanted me to rub her back and soothe her and all these things. Being a young woman, I was in a family. My mother was in a very domestic relationship with my father. So we would always go down south. And down south, we stayed with my great aunt, who was an elder, and she raised chickens and she had a garden, and we would get the eggs, and we were just used to that country lifestyle, But then my mom would go back to my father, and then things would get bad, and then we would go back down south for months and years at a time. So as I got older, like, it made me like a country girl in heart, in spirit, So when getting older, I said, whenever I settle down, I want to be in the South. But I didn't know it was like down South, So even in the States, I started growing my own food, not 100%, but I became introduced to the lifestyle of eating my own food from seed to table, and being pregnant during that time, it just offered me a different reality that was more nature-based, And then having this silent prayer and wish to be a better woman, to be a better daughter and a healer and all of these things, it just like opened up to breastfeeding and natural childbirth and healthier eating and high vibrational living, you know. From there, I just learned more about African spirituality. I pulled my children out of school long time ago, introduced to home birth long time ago before it became like trendy and popular, you know. So that just kind of in spirit, it just let me know that I was making the right decisions, and that kept empowering me, you know, through working with families in each individual situation. And like I say, the plant medicine, it just kept being a means of empowerment that I didn't know I needed, you know. So sometimes growing up in what may be considered low vibrational environments, and we didn't come from like a bad environment, you know what I'm saying? My mother kind of did what she thought was best for us, you know, in between the domestic violence thing, but realizing too that I didn't have the self-confidence and the self-worth and the self-esteem. You know, my father did 19 plus years in prison, you know, and I didn't realize until I got older and again started becoming a mom and getting into different relationships that those things had affected me. Again, that my self-esteem and self-value and worth weren't in place because I didn't come from a so-called healthy home, you know. So just again, activating that higher self just put me on a path of making certain decisions that reflect my inner self, you know.
And so you said you wanted to, from a young age, you felt like moving down south was where your path was going to take you, but you didn't realize how far south that was actually going to be. So how did Jamaica come into the situation? Had you been on holiday there? Was it always somewhere that you thought you might visit? Like, tell me about the Jamaica element. How did that crop up?
So my mom has a best friend who lives here, who is from the same town, and she had been traveling here many years and ended up marrying a Rastaman here and closed their business and relocated. So my mom went to visit her maybe twice, and she would always say, "Oh, you would love it if you go, Jennifer. You would love it. You would love it." And I'm just kind of like, I was going through my own things in my own life. I'm like, I'm sure, but when the time come, it'll come. Like it just wasn't in alignment. So one year for my birthday, we went. My best friend at the time was actually in a coma, you know, fighting for her life. And a friend of mine, we did some traveling to New Orleans, Louisiana, which I love, you know, and we had a wonderful time there, very high vibration. And then the week after that, I went with my mom to Jamaica for a week. And just approaching the island on the airplane, I was just like, wow, the trees, like the lushness of the island was the very first thing that caught my attention. Once I got off the plane, just the heat, the people, the flowers, it was just like, oh, I'm at home, you know? So we did our thing. We actually booked like a few different Airbnbs. We stayed at a hotel just to kind of get different feels of places. And I mean, it was more or less like, I think we don't realize how much things resonate with our spirit over our mind and what seems to be logical or makes sense. Like my spirit was like, oh, we're at home. You know, we went to this market in Mobay and all the vegetables and the fruit and the people. And like there was this elder lady and she was doing, you know, what I now know as gungu peas. And she's shucking the peas. And it was like, I want the peas from that lady, this elder lady, just the energy on her hands and her DNA. Like, I want those peas. So I got the peas and some other vegetables and went back to the Airbnb and played music and was cooking. Like everything really just came so natural, you know? So going back, I missed my flights. I missed my flight. Yes. Which a lot of people do, that I think sometimes that's just spirit led as well and the universe working with you. So I was here like I think another few days or a week or so. So just during that time, I was like, I'm at home. I felt safe. I felt comfortable. And like I tell people all the time, Jamaica reflects my inner self. You see what I'm saying? So that was important for me because it matched with the flowers that grow inside of me and the sunlight and the greenery. And, you know, a lady that I love here near and dear, she's been here 40 years. She's from New York, an Italian woman, which has become our grandmother here. She says the environment here with the greenery activates the heart chakra. Mm. And she just told me this maybe 6 months ago. And I'm just still like, oh, that's what it is. You know, it heals the heart. And I'm sure the other chakras and organs in the body as well. So just that frequency, you know, let me know that I was in alignment. And again, we don't always have to know everything, you know. So going back, it was like I could still see the ocean. In some weird way, I could still see the ocean, the mountains, the hills while I was in Michigan, you know. So again, I had already started doing a community garden in my neighborhood. And it was like, again, with the plant medicine, I just became more in tune with myself, nature, and my higher calling. So when I got back and I was sowing seeds for the new year, as you know, in Michigan, we have a short planting season, gardening season. So when I got back, I was like, these are my seeds in Jamaica. I was like, I'm sowing these seeds for my farm in Jamaica, for my garden there. And like I said, in the meantime, I could see like Jamaica in my mind, in my reality, you know. So just in that space, I just started packing up my things. Like, I'm going to Jamaica. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how. I'm taking my daughter with me, who was like 7 at the time, you know. So going was the beginning of 2018, and we came back in like November of 2018, and I sold my vehicle. Did I do that then? Yes, I sold my vehicle. I packed up my place. My oldest daughter was with her dad at the time, and I was like, we're out, you know? So I brought a tent. Like, I literally did not know where I was going.
Wow.
You know, I called my mom's friend, like, do you know anybody? Like, grab a newspaper. You know, Jamaica isn't really into technology that way 100% to find like what's for rent and housing and all these things. I said, you know what, I'm taking my tent. I'll stay in a hotel for a few days. Like, I'll figure it out. So there's a woman in the psychedelic community, and she reached out like, hey, I hear you're going to Jamaica. Like, what part? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'll figure it out. She said, well, here's a number of a friend of mine who went there years ago and wrote a blog. And I think the number is on the blog. So I was like, okay. So that was where I went. We went to Mobay for a night or two and got on what's called the Knutsford, like a island-wide bus system. And I got on there and I set out for this town called Aracabas in Jamaica. And when I got there, I was like, holy shit, like, where am I? Like, I'm in the hood, I'm on the block, it's loud, it's trash, it's dogs, it's noise, it's cars, and music blaring. Like, I don't live in the hood where I come from. Not like that, you know. So I was like trying to hightail my behind out of there, but I ended up having to hightail my tail right back to Aracabesta and found out that one of the most beautiful beaches in the world is there. And that's just where I've been ever since, you know.
I love that. You're the first person I know who moved with a tent. That's wild.
I did. I was just like, again, but when your spirit is guiding you. So that's another thing for me. My spirit has been guiding me for a very long time. I've always felt like I was destined for greatness since I was a little girl. And of course, life doesn't always reflect that greatness upon you, or you don't perceive it that way. But I was just like, I'm out. I'm going. Like, I'm used to doing what's best for me, even if it doesn't make sense, even if people don't agree. Like, my mom has been thought that I was different when I pulled my children out of school. And I said, Mom, I don't know why I'm pulling them out of school, but I know something has to change and something has to be different. I'll figure it out as I go, you know? So again, through that, even empowering my family with the decisions that I make, you know? So yeah, I'll let you ask. I don't want to.
No, I love that. I love that. I'm still glowing from the boldness of that move. But I think, yeah, it's about just acknowledging that knowing. You just know it. You might not be able to verbalize it to anyone else. And maybe it doesn't need to be put into words. You just know, and that's the basis that you act upon. Like, ultimately, what more do you need than a roof over your head? And you brought it with you. So
Yes. I was like, I brought my tent, which turned out like, Baba Kalindi from the Detroit community, he bought the tent for us, and we would like lounge in it and put it in the garden in the States. So I brought it with me, and it was like, so, okay, let me go back. So when we came, we were here for like 6 months, maybe. And then I went back to the States. I said, I'm only going back for 2 months. Like, I can't remember my reasoning why, but I was like, I'm going to go back to the States for a couple months and come back. But I was going for 8 months, you know, for whatever reason. Again, I can say I'm not a very like goal-oriented person, and maybe my Pisces nature or my Aquarius nature, I'm not sure. But it's like I let spirit do the deciding, because I can over worry, I can stress, I can get in the way. So it's like, and really working through birth and medicine and just dealing with people's souls, it's like you learn to move yourself out of the way and your intentions sometime and what you think should be. And when you let spirit take the wheel, you know what I'm saying, or your higher self take the wheel, it's like it's different. I guess it's hard to explain. But that inner guidance system, it's like that has been taught out of us. It's been indoctrinated out of us. So it's like we question our own truth, our own authentic self. We haven't got in tune with that. So again, like my life with serving families and with the plant medicine, it's like it opens portals for you. It opens up that clear communication with self. And even being here, I can say with the 6 months we were here, people are like, are you doing massage? Are you doing birth work? Like, how much is land? Like this, like that. And I'm like, to be honest with you, like, I'm just being.
Yay.
I didn't know how much healing that I needed showing up for other people. Like, I didn't know. You don't know. So I'm like, I'm just laying on the beach 4 or 5 days out of the week, eating fruit and watching my daughter play in the sea, in the Caribbean Sea, with this picturesque background, and it was like just healing and just allowing and just being. It's like, if you want to know how much land is, come here and find it, and find the land for yourself and find out how much it is. No, I'm not working. No, I'm not bringing this Americanized mentality and way of doing things here to this island, because it's not the same place.
It's not.
So it's really about learning the land as well and receiving its blessings. And I mean, every day Jamaica showed us, like, we're glad to have you here. And this was the land, the people too, but I'm speaking just for the land itself. We will walk to the sea. I remember the first few times, and I swear there were between 50 or so butterflies just dancing around me and my daughter, and it was just like hummingbirds, and just nature was like, we love you, we appreciate you, thank you for choosing yourself, and choosing what's best for you and your family. So we ended up coming back 8 months later, and we've been here ever since.
Yeah, and what you say about just allowing yourself to stay open to receive what's meant to come your way, like that can be really difficult. If you've never done that before, it can feel like a huge challenge. But it's I think especially moving to the Caribbean, you can't impose your will. And also you don't really know, like your will might be completely irrelevant to what the land, the people, the situation ends up being. So everyone's different. Some people want everything mapped out in a timeline and a spreadsheet and costed and dates and that, which if that's what you do that and see how that works out for you. But I definitely feel like, at least for me as well, people are saying, what are you going to do? And what's the next big plan? And like, I don't read, I know inside, I feel it, but I can't explain what that looks like. And I also feel like I'm transitioning. We need to give ourselves time to transition from where we were to where we are to who we will be, which goes against everything that we're taught about being on the hamster wheel, produce, put up stuff on Instagram, and this much, blah, blah, blah. But yeah,
it's a real thing. When I was here, I don't think I posted pictures for 2 months. I didn't even have my phone. Like, I was barely even connected to a local, no one could call me here. I couldn't call them. Like, you meet guys and they're like, well, what's your phone number? I'm like, I don't even carry a phone around, So when you learn detachment, which this has taught me as well, life has taught me the fine art of detachment. So you learn to just step away from things that aren't serving you. Again, from the time we're born, we're Christian. They tell us we're supposed to be this, we're supposed to go to school, go to college, do this, do that. I dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old. It never resonated for me. I was the one always sleeping in church, So sometimes we have to kind of do that inner work. And again, through like the plant medicine and those initiations, there's a brother that said, rites of passage were put in place, in societies to transition the girl to the woman, the boy to the man. You know, you step into spaces of fear, uncertainty, sometimes death, you know, and these are the things that help you grow up,
Sure.
that help you stand tall and do the things and connect with nature, you know. So I can say maybe without that, I would not be the woman that I am today, you know, operating from a child's perspective, you know, and not growing up and not being mature, you know. So sometimes life, along with purposeful initiations, will allow you to continue to be the self-initiate. Coming here rogue like this, it's an initiation. It's a rites of passage into something greater, you know. So kind of moving all of the, all of the shit out of the way that's not you, that's not true to who you are, allows you to be supported by the universe in whatever decisions that you make, wherever you decide to go. So when I came here for those 2 weeks with my mom, someone said, you didn't know the island was on lockdown, specifically the area you were in, because of murders and this and that. I'm like, really? You know, so oftentimes the TV is portraying places to be somewhere that they're not. You know, they want you to believe that heaven is somewhere out there, somewhere. And it's here, it's inside of the self first. And once you find that heaven, heaven everywhere will attract itself unto you. You know, I firmly believe that you know, and again, being here with a 7-year-old at the time, now she's 10, getting ready to be 11, there's no fear. We have absolutely no fear here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's also those small steps along the way. So maybe not everyone is going to be in a position where they can move next month or in 6 months' time, but those little decisions about slowly unplugging, like, do you really need to watch television news every day? Do you really need to be scrolling through? So like small steps to just decondition yourself, I think is really important so you can hear what needs to come through.
Those TVs have to come out of the home. I've gotten rid of TVs over 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? You have to get that frequency out of your home that's programming you to think certain things, to fear, the subconscious mind, like your ears. If you have good hearing, their ears don't cut off just because you're asleep. A lot of people are going to bed, you know, with the TV on and YouTube in their ears and certain things. And like we're choosing to distract ourselves from ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, or think that with all this research and reading and watching these videos that it's making us more intelligent than what we are, when really it's dumbing us down.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I had already pulled out of so many other things, and some of us are psychic in nature, you know, more intuitive in nature. That's like me, I'm Pisces, and they say that we're psychic by nature. I never knew that, and I wasn't so much directly in tune with that, but it's like moving into places and spaces that allow your spiritual gifts to flourish, you know, and or spirit anointing you with certain things when you've shown yourself to be worthy and kind of maybe approved to embody certain gifts as well. Like I can be trusted, you know, again, through birth, work, and families. Like I feel like I know that comes with a certain covering and anointing over my life as well, you know?
Yeah. And so the last time we spoke, it was September 2020. And you were fairly new into Jamaica, like the pandemic was still nuts, or we weren't even allowed to mention the P word. You said, I'm not talking about that, which I loved. But reflecting on your time, how has Jamaica changed you? How has Jamaica enabled you to elevate or grow or whatever? And also we say initiation, and initiations can be challenging as well as having positive outcomes. So overall, how has...
I think they're supposed to be challenging.
Yeah. In
some weird way. And it's like, my mind, my human brain is like, why doesn't stuff come easier for me, more effortless, and why this and why that? But spirit is like, shh, relax. You don't know anything about anything, you know? But it's definitely allowed me to trust myself more, you know, and like I say, sometimes the solitude even helps me to know myself better and even weed out, well, I'll say this, know myself better and also to become more sensitive. You know, sensitivity is truly a superpower, you know, and I need that. It's like knowing, like, I don't fool around too much after dark. You know what I'm saying? I go to bed early anyway, but just certain things you need to be able to feel and know. And like I say, navigating a certain reality when guys approach you or want to date you, or, you know, everybody here wants to marry you and be your husband. You really have to be super sensitive and aware of what's going on. You know, even with the weather, I know I sometimes I'm telling the people here, like, okay, we got to go, it's about to rain. And they're like, oh, I'm like, we got to go, it's about to rain. So it even makes you more sensitive to the weather, which you need to be in a type of climate like this, where maybe hurricanes, floods, tropical storms, you know. Again, I do a lot of work with the mushroom community, but here I eat a lot of the flowers. I'm like foraging wildflowers and picking them off the trees and putting them directly in my mouth. And, you know, everybody's like, well, how's mushrooms in Jamaica? And I'm like, well, mushrooms are mushrooms, you know, but the flowers are speaking to me and telling me to consume them and build this relationship with them, you know. So it's just, again, just allowing, you know, again, allowing myself to be more sensitive, isolating myself from people who, half the time, the people you're surrounded with, they don't have your best interest in mind. So I'm learning a lot about humans. I'm learning a lot about friendships. I'm learning a lot about relationships, motherhood, you know, and some of those things took me to step out of the rat race. And again, like you say, the hamster wheel, to really enjoy a better quality of living and being, you know, and that I don't need to be surrounded by people who, like, I'm learning, like, it's people who, like, they think they love you and they want to love you and they may show love in certain ways, but sometimes when their traumas and entities and certain things come out, like, they're affecting your walk where you are, you know. So realizing even with friends, like these spiritual connections we have with people, guess what? You may not be able to move forward or move to another country because of old relationships, or your mama or your sister, or, like I say, even environments in the States. I realized that when you're driving down certain streets and going by certain places and landmarks, that you don't realize subconsciously you're being triggered. So it really takes some healing and self-work, self-healing work and shadow work for you to be able to appreciate certain things. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not getting off topic, but it's just like,
this is it.
freeing yourself of all of these things so you can be more sensitive and feel safe, you know. So, okay, if someone's in fear, then where's that fear coming from? That fear could have been with you 20 years ago. And you're thinking, oh, well, Jamaica, I'm not safe. No, you just don't feel safe. And you haven't felt safe in a very long time. You know, so once you take those leaps and remove, like I say, friendships, relationships, I mean, cleansing, deep shadow work, I mean, crying for hours, snotting, spitting, vomiting. You know what I'm saying? Some of those things need to take place. So when you do move and become expats and all of these things, that you're in a more healthier awareness, you know, to be able to navigate.
And it's still going to take work. It's still going to take an investment in yourself to work through all of that. Even
consistently.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. So like when we first spoke, I was like, psilocybin, tell me more, la la la. You know, you must get those calls all the time. And I think I'm also on a similar path to you. It's like, yeah, mushrooms are great, but as this plant and that plant, and it's not so much about what is it good for. It's like, what's the energetic relationship that I'm going to have with this being, because it is a being. But that being said, we have mentioned plant medicine quite frequently, and folks might be curious, or they might have they know it all already. They don't need any answers. But from your perspective, let's talk people through the work that you do with plant medicine, and specifically why it is relevant, or even at the core of who we are as people of African origin. Because I think a lot of people, when they hear plant medicine or psychedelics, say, oh, that's a white folks thing, which couldn't really be further from the truth. So yeah, tell us a bit more about that.
Well, it's really just earth medicine. It's organic technology. It's been here before humans, you know, it's been here before we identified as, again, humans, or being African or from Africa. You know, we're from all over this planet. You know what I'm saying? As humans. So it's really about, again, getting that nature inside of you. one of the main components with psilocybin is mycelium, right? And it's pretty much the information superhighway of the planet, and maybe other planets as well. You know, so when we partake of these natural substances, for one, it just realigns us with self, the human body, nature, you know, animals, plants, bugs, all the things that kind of comprise who we are, right? We're animals, we're insects in certain ways, we're part fungi on the inside of us. So again, we're just only consuming plants that are resonating back with us who we really are. You know, we're earthlings. We're like, the earth is one of our oldest ancestors, along with all of the elements in the galaxies, you know, but we aren't being taught that, and we aren't being reminded of that. You know, and even with the sacred plant medicine has been used in indigenous cultures and societies for a long time. Like, we're talking pre-law, pre-language, you know. So we have this tool here to, again, align our body and bring it back into harmony through disease and trauma. You know, most of us need nature. We're sitting in cubicles all day. We're surrounded by so much radiation. Like, I even think about most of the homes having the insulation with fiberglass and certain chemicals and toxins. We don't know. We don't ask. Being surrounded by pipes and electrical wires in these squares, you know, and it's so out of tune with nature. So now everybody's, oh, I'm depressed. Oh, I have anxiety. Oh, I have cancer, high blood pressure, this and that. And no one questions their surroundings, you know. And really quick, it made me think about like the kind of like the deaths with COVID. So they say, I'm like, well, I just want to know the air quality. Do they ever test the air quality to make sure us as humans are getting enough oxygen? You know, Jamaica is full of trees. So it's like, do you live in environments that are communicating with you in ways that Google may not be able to understand? You know, so again, the plant medicine just helps you get more into, well, it's called the God molecule. You know what I'm saying? And God means something different for all of us, just like love, friendship, success, all those things mean something different. But finding out what God or that higher self is for you and what that means and how you would like to operate within that capacity, you know. And we have these minds that often operate out of ego, which is a distorted reality. It's a distorted view of what truly is and what may be, you know. So finding that the plant medicines help us to get back grounded with nature and with the self, you know. My first love was with cannabis and aromatherapy, you know. Sorry, with the trees, you're gonna get some bugs and other things falling. Yes, the aromatherapy. So working with, like, if your grandmother was cooking, let's say making dressing, and she's putting sage into the food, or making fresh lemonade and certain things, you don't realize that that's medicine in those plants, in those fruits and herbs. So just working directly with sacred plant medicine, flowers, you know. So it's not always psilocybin specific or what they consider to be mind altering drugs. Like, our minds are constantly being altered.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So choosing to be in control with what our ancestors, again, the earth is giving us what we need. You know, you're going to eat tomatoes for this. You're going to, you know, drink this particular herb for your digestive health or oral hygiene. And the psilocybin mushrooms are there for like mind, body, and spirit awareness, you know. So yes, we all need it. Yeah. African, non-African, but especially for us God beings who have lost our way and need to be reminded of who we are. Like, everything here is a reminder. That's like the Jamaicans, like, we don't eat flowers here. I said, you don't have to. This is for me.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned before that the tent that you brought to Jamaica was gifted to you by Kilindi Iyi, which is just, yeah, that protection, that being there. I love that. What a beautiful gift.
I couldn't believe I was in that tent. We were up in the hills during that time, during COVID. I'm telling you, I was in the most beautiful place in the world. At least one of them. And it was like, me and my daughter were sleeping in that tent 5-6 days out of the week. We only bathed in the river. We only ate food off of a fire. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have electricity. Like, the children would walk the phones to a nearby neighbor. only bathing in the river, only eating fruits from the land or from, local farmers. Like, it makes a huge difference. And once you're introduced to these certain things and lifestyles and frequencies and vibrations, like, it changes you forever. And you don't go back to the same things, hopefully. I mean, it's all a decision. But you have to kind of open yourself up and allow yourself access. And like I say, we have to give ourselves permission. And that's something that I think is not said enough. It's like, sometimes you got to give yourself permission to be bold, to be beautiful, to be daring, to go rogue. It's like, as long as we're waiting on somebody else's permission or society's validation, it's never going to happen. And what happens is that hamster wheel starts happening in your mind.
Absolutely.
And you don't realize that that's where the mental health issues and the health issues come in, is because you are not living your truth. You are not living from a place of authenticity and not from love, So allowing nature to recalibrate us, I can't swim. And that's something that I'm working through, but I bet you I have my behind near that water or my feet in it and close enough to live where I can allow that sea air to still transform me in ways,
Yeah, I think absolutely. Ultimately, I think the first step is just deciding that you don't need to ask, who are you asking for permission? Who are you, a being, asking for permission for what? It makes no sense. If you think about it, it really makes no sense. We're conditioned to think that it does. But yeah, I think that's the first step.
Program that way, like we ask other people to use the bathroom. You're in school, like, can I use the bathroom? And if they say no, then you sit there and hold it. We don't want to be insubordinate or not break the rules or not break the law. And once you step out of that paradigm, you find out that it's all BS. It's all total BS. And even with Baba making his transition, it's like, it's making me even more in my truth and in my power. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, and that was like the first person that their death kind of hit me in a real way, to say, you know what, you can't be living willy-nilly. Like, it's real out here. You're a human. Nobody's exempt from death. And we don't talk about that. And I really don't like the word death, but it's kind of like, we have to live before we die. We have to have these experiences and live in certain places and take certain risks. That's what makes this experience valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's supposed to shift us and break us open in ways that we've never thought we'd be breaking open and torn apart, only to have to replace yourself with the healthy pieces and the pieces that are going to help you to be healthy and evolve. So allowing the death around us and sometimes the trauma around us to empower us to do whatever it is you want to do,
Yeah, the beauty of stepping outside of the comfort zone, the idea that it's supposed to be nice and cozy and pretty, like, yeah, but is that really the point? I don't think so. I know it's not.
I'm the first one who wants everything to be just like perfect and easy and effortless,
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, we're under these certain programs. I think sometimes at some point there was a place that was more righteous and pure, and you're able to love and wear your heart on your sleeve. Think about it. We were walking around naked at some point in time, and now everybody's wearing masks, literally and figuratively, so we have to keep as gods, like I say, we have to keep rising above the mundane foolishness, surrounding yourself with people that are on that vibration. Or even if you have to be by yourself. Right now, I'm alone doing this thing with my daughter. Is it easy? Hell no. You need a team, you need a support, and things take time as well. So any of us who resonate with gardening and farming, is like, that seed takes quite a while to, depending on what seeds they are, to reach their ultimate expression. So again, nature teaching us that, and you grow well in certain environments. Like, I really feel like, and not that I think anything was going on with my health, but sometimes you just got to move out of knowing. You may be moving and it heals you in certain ways because of the vitamin D or the sea air or the flowers that you're picking and eating that you don't have access to in other parts of the country. We have to trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for those who don't know, just explain who Kilindi Iyi is in your relationship to him?
Kalindi is a superhuman, you know. I met him through the Detroit community when I started more of my African-centered life, you know, and knowings and teachings, and came into contact with him and his wife through just wanting to be a better healer and wanting to be able to serve my community in a higher, more clear capacity. That's when I was introduced to plant medicine. And from there, Baba and I kind of connected, you know, supernaturally. And through that space, he really came into my life as, well, it's funny. I have been doing this community garden for a while with no help. And you don't realize, like, when you're working with the soil, just the sweat that rolls off your nose and drips into the soil, you know, just whether they're tears or just your intentions, we don't realize with these hands that we have the power that they hold in alignment with your thoughts and everything. Like they say, blood, sweat, and tears. It's the real thing. So when Baba came into my life, he ultimately, like, he came and was helping me in the garden, you know, turning over the soil and us building and watering and working together. It was like I saw that he really came into my life to do a certain dance with me that needed to happen, you know, and he really showed up as like a father, a brother, a friend, a father to my children, a co-worker. We traveled together. So he really came and filled so many roles in my life. You know, and with the psilocybin, I mean, I had the ability to go to the UK with him in London and speak on psilocybin. He's like, what are they calling him? Like the godfather of psilocybin, like the black godfather of psilocybin. And it's like through his work, outside of, like, you know, being a student, being a lover of his, being a friend, it's like, we don't always know what we need. We think we may know, but he really came to show me things and also to heal me on levels that I didn't know I needed to be healed. And for that to transform my life and my family and my friends and my work. So it's like allowing that psilocybin, he the Black community. He really truly did, allowing us to see ourselves and see our shit, to see that the communities we live in aren't serving us, certain lifestyles and habits. So I'm truly grateful for him for sharing this bit of nature with me, with us, you know. And again, since, you know, and just like even the work we did together now is still paying off. That's probably how I know you. It's through, you know,
through Darren.
Through Darren, LeBaron, and the mushroom community there in the UK. And you all are beautiful over there in the UK. I'm like, wow, you know, I really appreciate you all for all your love and support and just that family. It's like a familial thing. Like I say, when you're dealing with that mycelium and the mushrooms and just the planets, it's like you find your soul tribe. You truly do. And you find the places on the planet where you thrive well, like plants. You can't grow these coconut trees in Michigan. You know, there's certain things in Michigan that don't grow here too. You know, so you just learn your spiritual signature. You learn where you thrive best in the world and allow yourself to grow and expand. So just truly grateful for Baba being literally a superman, a super human. Even now, he's still doing work to join us together and teach and help us with the expanding. Like, I truly, you know, attribute all of this to him with making me definitely a better woman, for sure.
Yeah, and what I love is that you're paying it forward. It's not just you, it's the families that you work with, it's the couples that you work with. And yeah, it's just a gift that keeps on giving. And so what am I going to ask you next? I'm going to ask you, if folks want to connect with you, how do they connect? What sort of services do you offer? Because I think, yeah, the right people are going to want to reach out. And I'll also put a link into some of Baba's videos. Be warned, like, you'll watch one, 7 days later, you'll still be watching others. You'll find podcasts. It's like a rabbit hole. So disclaimer in advance. But for people wanting to connect with you.
Yes, I'm on Instagram, the Entheogenic Midwife. Facebook, I'm over there. I also have Sweet Serenity Company, and that's just massage therapy, childbirth education. I offer spiritual consulting via Zoom or over the phone. You know, I take crisis calls when people are kind of going through stuff and just need some empowerment, some encouragement, some grounding. I have a YouTube channel. I have some affirmations there that were kind of created specifically for people in the psychedelic or psilocybin space, just to help them get grounded and centered. But we listen to them all the time, and people say like they're pregnant or they may not be using psilocybin, but the affirmations are just very beneficial for them. I came out with some psilocybin note cards as well, just to help people write love notes and share that magic, thank you, just because, and also art as well. So I've gotten into some psilocybin photography, where individuals can hang pictures on their wall in their retreat spaces and, their bedrooms and anything, just to stay in tune with the magic and the beauty and the power that surrounds us. My phone number is out there somewhere. I really love serving humans. They say as Pisces, we come here to heal and to serve. So some of us on those vibrations really quick, it's important us to be in places where we can be able to give advice from a clear space, to be able to serve when we're in a clear, high vibrational space without a lot of entities and energies attached to us, when we're coming from a place of wisdom and channeling, certain energy and messages. But yeah, I'm here. I'm not hard to find,
I'll put all of those links in the description. And I forgot, your affirmations. So I told you, me and we were listening to that on the school run, one of them. So I would highly recommend, highly recommend those. But Omolewa, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. I have messed up this interview so many times, but it happened at the right time, and it's going to connect with the right people. But yeah, I just love what you do. I love the vibe that you have. And I think, just inspiring people. Move with the 10. If you need to move with the 10. Just know that what is meant to be will be, and the path will unfold as you have the boldness to take those steps.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're in Jamaica, book a massage. I can come to where you are. We can meet halfway. I have a ceremony tomorrow as well. So people who are looking to come to the island to experience a one-on-one session or with couples, I'm here to support you, either, just via the medicine and some online support, or actually come to where you are and hold that sacred space as you just take the next step into your higher self. Just here to support people, again, childbirth education. And I had my first baby here. He just turned 1 on the 13th. So I had my first home birth here as well. So I'm here.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and inspiring so many.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure.